Oh, and there's a guy to his right as well. Oh, they're all out there.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Boris Download here. Following up from my previous video on my top 5 attackers on Siege, this is going to be my video on my top 5 defenders. As before, these aren't necessarily the operators that I think everybody should pick, nor do they make up my ideal team. These are just my favourite individual defensive operators. I had quite a lot of good feedback on the last video, and as I mentioned, I've passed 50 subs now, which is amazing, so thank you to everybody who's subscribed. Just looking ahead to the future a little bit, I've been considering doing individual profiles for the operators. Now, other people have done this, but I've got some different ideas compared to what I've seen a lot of people saying. But obviously, I'm not going to do that for you guys if you don't want me to. So I'll leave that down in the comments and just let me know if you want to see me do that. But for now, let's get into my top 5 defenders.
Nice.
So my number 5 defensive operator is going to be Frost from the Canadian Season 1 CTU. Frost received a lot of criticism initially, especially over her Super 90 weapon, which is generally considered to be extremely overpowered, and they've nerfed that a bit. But her ability are these leg traps that you can see going down now. If someone steps on one of these, they will instantly go down into DBNO. What I like to do is I like to put them behind doors or windows, as you can see here. And then basically when people come through them, they just they don't realise. It's best to set them a little way back, as you can see me doing now, because otherwise they tend to hop over them. But these things are really, really good, provided that you don't make them too obvious. And there's a couple of ways you can make them less obvious. I mean, one of them is obviously keeping them out of sight by putting them under the windowsills, because then there's almost no way that the attackers can see them unless they're rappelling down from above. But Frost, I just really enjoy playing with. Her weapons are really, really good. The Super 90, as I've said, was nerfed because it got a lot of criticism for being too OP. But you can see me using it now. It's a really, really solid weapon. It's a good semi-auto shotgun. It's got good range, pretty high damage, and you can get a lot of kills with this thing. As you can, you'll see here, I can get a kill on the guy that's about to come through here from this range with one shot, I believe. There you go. It was my first shot missed, but the second one took IQ straight out. Now I know IQ is a light armor character, but Frost Shotgun is really, really powerful, and that's one of the reasons that I'm putting her on my list of top 5 defenders. So my number 4 defensive operator is Bandit from the GSG9 in Germany. Bandit's sort of trick, as it were, is he can put down these batteries on almost any metal object, and this will electrify them. And you can use this, and you can put it on a deployable shield. You can put it in barbed wire, as I did down there. You can put it on reinforced walls as well, which is really useful, because if you electrify a reinforced wall, then they cannot put a charge on it. Now here I'm doing something that's quite cheeky. What I did was I put a battery inside the barbed wire, as you saw there. Now I'm going to pick this one up, and I'm going to put this one on the shield
I've got a really hot electrical trap set up
that my teammate placed in the door, and that meant that in order to get into them, they'd have to vault over that shield straight into the electrified barbed wire, taking damage from both in the process. This is another setup I like to do if you're playing with Frost. You can put her trap inside a cluster of barbed wire, and then electrify the barbed wire, and that means that if they step into the trap and go into DBNO, the electrified wire will finish them off instantly. But Bandit's just a lot of fun to play with, because he can not only keep people out of the rooms by electrifying the walls, but he can also cause some decent damage, and that's why I put him at number 4. So my number 3 defender is Rook from the French GIGN. Now, Rook's ability is he can put down this bag full of armor plates that anybody on the team can pick up. And what this basically does, it has a twofold effect. It means you can take one, basically the equivalent of one additional bullet of damage, but it also means that you're more likely to drop into DBNO when you're shot rather than being killed. And any defender will tell you that going down into DBNO can be a huge lifesaver, literally. And so that's what makes Rook really useful. He's a really great team player. He's heavily armored and slow speed, but when you put his own armor on top of his normal heavy armor, you really become like a tank. It's really hard to take you down. The weapon you can see me using now is the P90 submachine gun. It's a really solid submachine gun. I like it a lot. It's got quite low damage, but it's got a ridiculous rate of fire and ammo capacity. And when you put the ACOG scope on it, like I have, it becomes a really solid long-range weapon. His other weapon options are good too. For instance, he's got the MP5, which is the standard submachine gun for the GIGN. But I prefer to go with the P90, but either option is viable. If you take his deployable shield, which I normally do, then basically you can hunker down for any attacker's assault really well. I enjoy using Rook because, first of all, it's really obvious what it is that you're doing to help the team. You're putting down your armor, you're making sure that everybody can take those extra bullets that they need to. But also, because once you've done that, you're pretty much free to do what you want. You can go and play Roma if you want, because your job is done. You've supplied your armor, and so then you can go off and do what you like. And because of his really heavy armor status, he's really good for that. Or alternatively, you can stick and play objective defense, and you're a really tough defender to take down. And that's one of the reasons I like Rook. He's got really solid weapons. His secondary weapons are pretty good. The P9 or the Magnum, the same as all the French operators, and they're both really solid handguns. But I would say that Rook is one of the most important defenders you can have on your team because of his ability to make sure the team lasts longer. And so I give him a number 3 status on my list. Falling just shy of the top spot on my list is Doc, again from the GIGN. Doc would pair really well with Rook, and here's why. His ability is his stim pistol, which basically allows him to revive teammates from a distance. So obviously, with Rook's armor panels making it more likely that you'll drop into DBNO, Doc plays really well as a combo with him. Because with those two on your team, you've got a really good chance of your friends not dying. Like Rook, he's got the same weapons. He's got the P90, and again I tend to go with that. Although the MP5, as I said, is a really good weapon choice. He's got the deployable shield, as you saw there, and like Rook, Doc can be a good objective defense or a roamer. Now here I'm going to demonstrate something that's quite cool about Doc. You saw there that one of my teammates blew up a nitro cell to blow a hole in the wall, and then that put me down to 15 health. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my teammate to shoot me in the foot with his pistol to put me into DBNO, and then I can actually revive myself with the stim pistol. And that's the reason that Doc makes a really great roamer, because if he's on his own and then an attacker comes out of nowhere and takes him down, he can use his pistol to revive himself, and that makes him and that can be a real sort of game changer for the attacker that's coming to try and take him out. And so that's why I think Doc's really useful. A ranged revive is something that sort of it can't be done without for most teams. Also, when you get revived by a stim pistol, you come out with 75 health instead of with the normal 50, so that's another added bonus as well. All in all, Doc's a really solid defender, and he's another one who I think holds a good place on most teams.
Yeah, it wasn't good though. Like I didn't react fast enough. I was literally spray and pray.
And coming in at number 1 on my list of defenders, you've got the SAS defender, Smoke. Smoke is, without a doubt, my favourite defensive operator. He's got really solid weapons. His remote gas grenade, which you can see me throwing out now, are really, really useful. You can use them to basically block off any doorway or any room at all. You put one of those down, the attackers cannot come through unless they're willing to take some really heavy damage. They're really, really good against shield operators, which of course are a nightmare for the defense because they're very, very slow. And if you put one of these gas grenades down and you can catch them in it, then they're going to take some really, really heavy damage before they can move out. If you pair them up with the nitrocell, which I have here, then you can put one on each door and then you can cover both. Here you can see me doing something that I like to do a lot with Smoke. I've blown a hole in the wall with a shotgun. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of my gas grenades inside the hole. So this gives me a line of sight into the corridor outside. So if I see any telltale feet going past there, then I can set it off. And that's what I'm going to do here. Acting on information from one of my teammates, I set the charge off. I didn't get anybody in it this time, but it's still, basically I've blocked that area off the attackers. They cannot come through there without taking some heavy damage. And that's one of the reasons I like Smoke so much. He is a great aerial denier. And so basically what you can do with him is if it's just you left in the bomb room and there's 20 seconds on the clock, and if you've got one of your grenades left, you can just throw one of those out and stop the attackers being able to get in. And so he makes a really, really great delayer. Now I threw a grenade out there and I haven't detonated it yet. And there's two ways you can use him. You can use him as I did before with the preset trap, or you can use them as kind of like a two-stage grenade where you throw it and then set it off as it's going through the air. And either way is viable. I prefer generally to use it as a trap a little bit more. You can see there I just set it off to stop anyone coming through the doorway on my left so I can focus on this thermite hole. But if you want to play it as, throw it out, set it off straight away, each of those is equally viable. And yeah, I really like his weapons as well. You can see I use the shotgun. And here I've got the SMG-11 machine pistol, same weapon I was talking about using when I did my thing for Sledge. Even when they've nerfed it now, it still makes a really, really effective secondary. And I like to use him the same way I talked about using Sledge. I use the shotgun to put some holes in walls and for close range stopping power. And then I use the machine pistol for a little bit longer range. Here I do something that's not too clever. I threw the grenade out to basically try and stop him coming through there. What I should have done was use that as a little bit of cover, because Smoke is immune to the effect of his grenades. And that's what I should have taken advantage of that and used the grenades as a bit of cover to go and rush my opponent, but I didn't. Here you'll see another example. I'd put the smoke charge there, and having realised that they're not going to come from downstairs, I go and pick it up and go back into the defensive room. Overall, I think Sledge is really, really versatile. He makes a really good roamer because if you get cornered in a room, you can throw one of these things down and stop anybody coming in to finish you off. He's got reasonable speed and reasonable armor, and so that makes him quite good as well. He plays really good objective defense, as I've shown, using his grenades to stop anybody coming into the objective room. His weapons are really, really solid. Here you can see I take out a fuse with very little trouble through the barricade, and that's why I think Smoke is a really, really good operator, and for me he takes the #1 defensive spot. Right, so that's all from me for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I mentioned earlier, I'm considering doing profiles for the operators individually, so if you'd like to see me do that, just mention that in the comments down below. I'll hopefully be able to bring you some more gameplay of either the Division or Siege fairly soon. In the meantime, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more of what I do. Go check out my Facebook page and my Twitch channel. I haven't done any streaming on that yet, but I will be doing some soon, most likely over the summer holidays when I've got a bit more time on my hands. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there, guys.
She's right round the corner from you, Lewis. Got her.
If you want to check out the video I did covering my top 5 attackers, you can find that over here. And if you want to have a look at some of my gameplay of the Division, you can find that right over here. If you want to have a look at my Facebook page, that's just over here. And if you want to check out my Twitch channel, that's over here. Please do go have a look at those. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you out there, guys.